Shakespeare's tragedy, Romeo and Juliet, was written about 425 years ago.
What? Was it written that long ago?
Yeah. Shakespeare placed the actions of the tragedy to the city of Verona in Italy, and the year is 1450.
And 45 years earlier, in 1405, the Republic of Venice annexed Verona and the surrounding areas.
Areas.
Huh?
Areas. Areas.
Areas.
Yeah.
In a short military action, the Republic of Venice was one of Europe's most powerful trading powers at the time.
Really?
Yeah, and Verona had a strategic location.
Strategic.
Huh?
Strategic.
Strategic?
No, strategic.
Strategic location between several trading routes.
I see.
Yeah, so when Venice wanted to give only one trading company in Verona monopoly on transport and resale of silk and spices to France, a bitter fight started between Verona's most powerful families.
Yeah, and who were they?
Capulet and Montague.
Oh, Capulet and Montague.
Yes.
No, wait, those are not Italian names, are they?
No.
No,
Yeah, and Shakespeare wasn't from Italy.
absolutely not.
So the two families were probably called Capriglione and Montanino.
Oh, Capriglione and Montanino.
Yes.
The fight between the two families about the lucrative trade monopoly escalated to levels of civil war.
Levels of civil war?
Yeah, both the Capulet and the Montague family had armed gangs to hunt for each other in the streets, and the inhabitants of Verona became hostages in a merciless fight where innocent people could easily get killed.
Yes.
Before long, the Capulet and the Montague clan had divided the population between themselves and transformed Verona into a deadly war zone.
And in this dramatic situation, the young Romeo Montague falls in love with Juliet Capulet.
And the love was mutual.
Was it?
Yeah, and it goes without saying that it was an impossible project.
Why?
Because that is the same as if a young boy and a young girl from each side of the civil war in Syria should try to be together. Yeah, or a Palestinian boy and a Jewish girl. Oh, for not to mention a Ukrainian boy and a Russian girl.
Yes, and furthermore, Juliet was already engaged to another young man.
Yeah, her father had decided that she was supposed to marry Paris.
Paris.
Paris? Paris?
Paris?
No, I'm not talking about the French capital, it's a person.
Paris?
Paris. He was one of Mr. Caplan's most trusted and loyal young collaborators.
And that was at the party that Capulet family organized to announce this engagement when Juliet saw Romeo.
And Romeo saw Juliet.
Places where there are civil war or other violent conflicts usually don't have a great nightlife.
No, very bad nightlife.
No cafes, no restaurants, no music clubs, no disco.
No, most people are afraid of getting a pistol in their neck.
What?
A knife in their back.
Wait.
Or getting involved in other violent clashes after nightfall.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so most people stay at home.
Yeah, but when Capulet family does something as exceptional as organizing an engagement party, well, then one cannot wonder that a lot of people want to come.
Yeah, the deadly enemy of the Capulet family.
The deadly enemy?
The Montague clan are of course not invited.
Yes. And young boys that are bored are always an unpredictable risk. Yeah. And Montague's son Romeo and his best friends Benvolio and Mercutio were terribly bored, as always this evening.
Yeah, terribly bored.
Terribly bored.
But suddenly, they hear music. At first, they don't understand where the music comes from, but they walk along the streets until they find the origin of the music. The big house of the Capulet family, their worst enemy.
after some discussion, they decide to sneak into the party. They reckon that the Capulet clan doesn't want to kill them in the middle of the dance floor.
Summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. Your dad is rich, and your mom is good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. With your daddy and mommy standing by. And it goes well.
Yes.
Romeo, Benvolio and Mercutio are dancing together with all the other guests.
Yeah.
Well, probably the light is very poorly in there.
Yeah.
Probably just oil lamps and candles, so the other guests don't recognise the three dancing Montague boys.
And the young, hopeful
Paris, who Mr. Capulet actually had organised the party for, well, he tried in vain to make contact with Juliet.
But she had all her attention exclusively directed towards this young man who danced together with his two friends.
Yes.
She had never ever seen such a handsome young boy before.
No. While Juliet is looking fascinated at Romeo, Romeo discovers the most beautiful girl he has ever seen. Romeo stops dancing. He realizes that she,
This incredibly beautiful young lady,
looks at him.
they looked at each other.
Yeah.
They can't really concentrate on anything else.
Well, it was limited, of course, how much they were able to talk to each other at this party.
Yeah.
But suddenly, Romeo's two friends, Benvolio and Mercutio, come to the dance floor, pull him away from it, and out of Capulet's house.
Out of Capulet's house?
They couldn't risk being recognized. Then they would probably have been stabbed to death by Mr. Capulet's security guards.
Yeah.
But Romeo didn't manage to leave Capulet's house. He said goodbye to his two friends, and instead he started to walk along the walls of the residence, dreaming about this beautiful young girl he had seen.
Yes. And Juliet, she was totally unfocused when Paris finally got to speak with her.
Yeah.
She simply didn't listen to what he said. She only said, yes, yes, and yes. While she was entirely thinking about this handsome young boy she had seen.
Seen.
Huh?
Seen. Seen. Like,
See.
yeah.
And after this strange conversation with Paris, she simply went up to her room.
Yeah.
Yeah. She said Paris that she's totally tired.
Tired. Tired. Tired.
Yeah, but she didn't manage to fall asleep.
No.
So she went out on her balcony to get some fresh air and to look at the moon.
The moon was actually full this evening.
Yes?
Yes, which made it possible for Romeo, who was wandering around in the streets, to see Juliet up on her balcony.
Yes.
Yes, and right beside Juliet's balcony, there was a big pine tree that Romeo climbed into.
Yes?
Yes, and I guess Juliet heard some branches break while Romeo was climbing the tree, because she sees him.
Yes?
Yes, and then they start to talk to each other.
Huh?
At first, they only whisper, of course. It would have been terribly dangerous if the security guard saw the son of their deadly enemy in a pine tree in a deep conversation with Capulet's daughter. Yeah, but after a while, they probably forget how dangerous this situation really is, because they are so terribly in love. And the guards, they are probably sleeping anyway, after all the red wine they were drinking at the party. And then, Romeo tells Juliet that he is Romeo Montague.
Romeo?
Yes.
So you are Romeo Montague?
Montague, yeah.
Why are you Romeo Montague?
What?
I mean, why couldn't you have another name?
Another name?
What is the name actually?
Well,
It isn't your face.
no.
Or your hand.
No?
My name is Juliet Capulet, and my name will always be connected to my father and his war against your father. My name, Capulet, tells us that I am a part of a war.
You know what Juliet said was totally right.
Is it?
Yeah, but unfortunately that is still right.
No.
Yes, it is, because in most countries and cultures, your name signifies what kind of ethnic group you belong to, what kind of religion you believe in, or yeah, what kind of social status you have got. So your name either gives you possibilities or limitations. Even here, in Europe.
Here in Europe?
Yeah, in our time. The name, Ronnie Brown.
Ronnie Brown.
Exactly, it says something else about your social status, doesn't it? Than if your name is Peter Julian von Morgenstern.
Peter Julian von Morgenstern. Wait, isn't he that wealthy director of that big company?
Or if your name is Hassan Abdullah.
Hassan Abdullah.
Oh, good. Then you've already said something about your religion.
Yeah?
And then it would be difficult for you to be the boyfriend of Vladimir Vladimirovich Kalashnikov.
Vladimir Vladimirovich Kalashnikov.
Kalashnikov, yeah.
Kalashnikov.
Kalashnikov.
What?
What? Kalashnikov.
Kalashnikov.
Oh, Kalashnikov. Yeah. Juliet,
Yes.
I fell in love with you from the first second I saw you at that party. I cannot live without you.
Yes.
Juliet, I know our parents are in war against each other, but our love, Juliet, must be stronger than this war.
Yes.
Oh, Juliet, your eyes are like two shining diamonds.
Yes.
And your face, Juliet,
Yes.
your face,
Yes.
soft as silk.
Yes.
Oh!
Sorry, that's because I have a bird, Christian. Romeo.
Bird?
Yeah,
That was a beard.
a beard.
Yeah, and what's the problem with you having a beard, Piotr? I too have a beard. And you actually do know that two men actually can be lovers, even if they're men, right? Just like two women can be lovers. Good.
Not all places in the world, Christian.
No?
In Yemen,
Yemen,
Iran,
Iran,
Iraq,
Iraq,
Mauritania,
Mauritania,
Nigeria,
Nigeria,
Qatar,
Qatar,
Saudi Arabia,
Saudi Arabia,
Afghanistan,
Afghanistan,
Somalia,
Somalia,
and Sudan.
and Sudan.
There is death penalty for homosexuality. And in 63 other countries it is illegal. Do you want me to list them up?
No?
So let's return to the pine tree and the balcony.
Karim and Habib.
What?
Karim and Habib.
Who are you speaking about?
Karim and Habib. They were in love with each other.
How lovely.
And they were knocked down.
Oh, it isn't quite so long.
No, they both ended up at hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that happened here in Europe at the refugee center. Oh yeah, the two boys, Karim and Habib, they had fled from the civil war in Syria. Imagine all by themselves, they had walked through Turkey in order to come to Europe.
It's quite a long job.
No, it's quite a bit. And then other Afghan and Syrian refugees knocked them down and beat them up. The other refugees found out that they were lovers.
No, they got beaten up only because they were lovers.
It's a mortal sin in Islam.
A mortal sin.
According to many Islamic mullahs, homosexuals should be stoned to death.
Those mullahs belong to the Stone Age. But let's return to the balcony and the pine tree.
Mariam and Amina.
What?
It also happened to young boys and girls who have lived all their lives here, like the two young girls, Mariam Ravani and Amina Khan. The two girls from the families, Ravani and Khan, the families have lived here for 3 generations. I mean, the parents, they have gone to school here. They work here. They even speak the language perfectly. Of course, Mariam and Amina felt totally integrated to this society. Until their parents found out that they were lovers. They were beaten. beaten Piotr by their own families, and Amina's parents sent her to relatives in Pakistan, where she was forced into a marriage with a cousin she had never seen. He was 43 years old.
Have you finished, Christian?
Yes.
Yes.
No, actually not. Alexandra and Bogdan. 2 young Christian boys, they were also knocked down at school. The other boys at school found out that they were lovers, and then bam! They were lying in the schoolyard, spitting blood.
Oi.
No, Juliet! Nobody must destroy our love.
No.
There must be another solution.
Yes.
I will ask my young friend Lorenzo for advice.
Lorenzo?
He is a monk.
A monk?
In the monastery.
In the monastery?
And very wise, Juliet.
Wise too?
He will certainly be able to help us.
Perfect.
I know.
Yes, and after rather some awkward handshakes and attempts on kissing between the pine tree and the balcony, Romeo climbed down and Juliet went into her room. None of them slept especially well that night.
No.
And the very next morning, Romeo is standing in the monastery, herbal garden, surrounded by all kinds of strange medical herbs. He's waiting for his good friend, the young monk Lorenzo, to come to work in the garden after the morning prayer.
Lorenzo, you must... Oh, help me.
What have you done now, Romeo?
What?
Have you and your friends lost a bag with spices from the Venetian Trade Company?
No, Lorenzo, it has nothing to do with my father's business.
Oh no!
It's all about me.
About you?
I'm in love, Lorenzo.
Are you?
I love Mr. Capulet's daughter, Juliet.
Oi.
And she loves me.
Oi, oi, oi.
Yeah.
It's even worse than if you had lost the whole shipload with both spices and silk from the Venetian Trade Company.
Yeah, fine, but what are we going to do? You must help me.
Let me think. Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes! Yes, this can probably help to stop this unfortunate war between the two families, once and for all.
How?
Romeo, you shall marry Juliet.
Yes!
Yes!
What? Are you mad? I mean, my father or Juliet's father, nobody would ever accept it. Mr. Capulet would surely get me killed.
I haven't thought that you shall ask two crazy hotheads for permission.
Oh no?
I'm going to marry you in secret.
Ah!
Ask Juliet to come here to the monastery this afternoon.
A secret marriage?
Right.
Without telling the parents? You know, in many countries and cultures, that's an impossible thought. But we do owe our parents some kind of gratitude and respect, don't we?
Do we?
Yeah. They've given us free food for many years, Piotr.
Yes, but too much fish.
In many countries and cultures, you can become the victim of a so-called honor killing if you choose to marry against your family's will.
Honor.
Right.
Honor killing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. Honor, it's kind of an old word. It describes a person's power or position. Usually young women become victims of honor killings, and normally male members of their own families do the killing.
Do members of their own family kill them?
Yeah.
No.
They are killed by their own uncles.
Uncles?
Brothers.
Brothers?
Even fathers.
Even fathers?
And the worst is that in 31 countries, this is permitted.
No.
Yeah, or at least ignored by the police.
No.
You want me to list up all the 31 countries, maybe?
Now you are joking.
The United Nations reckon that 5,000 women all over the world every year become victims of honor killing. Imagine that.
5,000 women every year?
Only in Pakistan, one believes that 1,000 women every year are killed by their own brothers or fathers in order to defend their family honor.
Aye. But hopefully it wasn't that bad in the Republic of Venice in the 1450.
Yes, sir.
Yes?
What?
Yes, it was.
No. Oh no, Hestø is a Kurdish young girl. And she fell in love with a Turkish boy, Aslan.
Oh, how romantic.
Absolutely. And in 2016, they fled from the little village in the eastern part of Turkey where they lived, and they ran off to Istanbul and got married.
Oh, lovely.
But it didn't take very long before Hestø's family discovered where they lived. And suddenly one day, Hestø's own brother appears in front of the house where they live, in the middle of Istanbul. He ran up to the apartment where she was alone, and he yelled at her, "You have destroyed our family honor because you have married a Turkish boy."
He yelled at her just because she had married a Turkish boy.
Hestø jumped out of the window. She ran out in the street in order to get away from her brother. But he ran after her and killed her with a knife.
In the afternoon, Juliet ran in the streets of Verona and arrived at the monastery and Lorenzo's herbal garden totally breathless.
Did she?
Yes. She sneaked out of the house by jumping out from a window.
Why would she do that?
It wasn't very common that young ladies were wandering around in the streets of Verona in the time of the Renaissance.
Oh no, of course not.
And she couldn't be seen together with Romeo, a young man from the enemy.
Romeo was already in the monastery with Lorenzo waiting for Juliet.
What?
He was waiting in the monastery, but he managed to give Juliet a message by bribing one of the guards in front of the Capulet family's house.
Did they have guards?
They had many, and the guard promised to give Juliet's mate a message, and she would give the message further to Juliet about Romeo was waiting for her in the monastery.
Romeo?
Yes.
I got the message.
Yes.
To come here.
Yes.
To the monastery.
Oh, Juliet.
Yes.
My dear Juliet.
Yes.
Lorenzo has got a plan.
Has he?
He's gonna marry us.
What?
In secret.
When?
When?
Now, I'm going to marry you now, in front of the sculpture of Virgin Mary and baby Jesus.
Yes, the marriage was quickly done.
Was it?
Yeah, both Romeo and Juliet was waiting impatiently for Lorenzo to say, "And now you can kiss each other."
And now you can kiss each other. No.
So, early the next morning...
But wait, Kristen. What happened after Lorenzo had married them?
Happened?
Uh-huh.
Well, they stayed there in the monastery itself.
But what happened then? Did they...
Did they? Lorenzo left and he let them spend the night there together.
Both of them?
Well, they were married, so I guess that was all right.
Yes,
So-
but Christian! What do two people do if they have just married and are alone in a monk cell?
When a man loves a woman, can't keep his mind on nothing else. He'd trade the world for the good thing he's found. If she's bad, he can't see it. No. She can do no wrong.
When a man loves a woman, can't keep his mind on nothing else. He'll change the world for the good thing is found. If she's bad, he can't see it. She can do no wrong. Turn his back on his best friend if he put her down. When a man loves a woman, I'll give her anything I've got. Trying to hold on to your precious love. So baby, please don't treat me bad. Oh, so the next morning when the first birds started to sing in Verona's parks.
Yes, Chris.
Romeo and Juliet sneaked home to their respective families.
So they have spent the whole night in a monk's cell on a stone floor.
The next afternoon, Romeo...
That couldn't have been especially comfortable.
The next afternoon, please. Romeo meets his two friends, Benvolio and Mercutio, on a street corner, but he doesn't dare to mention that he has married Juliet Capulet.
No, of course not. They would never accept.
Never.
Never. And
yeah, she was
she was a daughter of their worst enemy.
Exactly.
And while we are speaking about their worst enemy,
Yeah.
Mr. Capulet, he just discovered that Romeo had sneaked into his house in order to join the party.
No.
Yes, he was furious. He thought it was a provocation from the Montagues clan.
typical.
Yeah.
And then he actually asked his young nephew, didn't he?
He asked his young nephew, and he was called Tybalt.
No, Tybalt. Tybalt.
Tybalt.
Yeah.
To find Romeo and to kill him.
An honor killing.
Yes.
And while Romeo is talking to his two friends on the street corner, Tybalt approaches them from behind.
Yes, and it didn't end up very well.
No.
Young men from different gangs with knives. Isn't that a good mix?
No.
All over Europe, this type of gang-based violence among youth increases year by year.
It's soon as bad as in Verona in the Renaissance now, actually. Oh, well, there is one minor difference. In Verona, they didn't use knives, but swords.
That's true. So it was a rather complicated and a little confusing sword fight that took place among the four boys.
But don't let us get lost in technical details, Piotr. It all ended after much chaotic waving with the swords that Tybalt killed Romeo's best friend Mercutio with his sword.
Tybalt killed Mercutio.
Exactly, and Romeo got so desperate and so angry when he saw his best friend got killed, so he killed Tybalt with his sword, even if he didn't want to.
So in reality, Romeo had killed his wife's cousin.
Yeah, very unfortunate. And Romeo understood that he had to flee from Verona immediately, because Mr. Capulet would surely organize a whole army.
A whole army?
Yeah, that would hunt him down, kill him. So he ran to Lorenzo in the monastery, which was just around the corner. Lorenzo, you must help me.
What have you done now, Romeo?
What?
Have you and your friends lost another bag with spices from the Venetian company?
Lorenzo, even if I didn't want to, I killed Tybalt!
Oi?
Capulet's nephew!
Oi, oi, oi.
Juliet's cousin!
Oi, 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 oi. Mr. Capulet's men are going to search every building in the city in order to find you.
Oh no!
They will even search for you here, in the monastery.
The monastery too!
Yes, I must smuggle you out to another city right away.
But how?
Yes.
Yes?
I will come with an extra monk robe
Monk robe?
that we can disguise you in.
Disguise me.
Then we will ride to Mantua,
Mantua.
to the monastery.
Monastery.
I know some of the monks there.
Do you?
They can hide you.
But Lorenzo, what about Juliet?
First of all, we have to save you from being killed, and then I will come up with a clever plan on what to do next.
And then Lorenzo, together with Romeo, disguised as a monk, leave the monastery in Verona. But outside the doors, they see Romeo's friend Benvolio.
Benvolio?
Yeah, and he recognizes Romeo under the dark monk robe.
Romeo?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
To the monastery in Mantua.
Yeah, okay.
But you must keep it as a secret, Benvolio.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody, not even my father, must know.
Yeah.
Come closer, Benvolio. I've even married my dear love, Juliet. What? But that's even a bigger secret. And then Lorenzo and Romeo ride off.
Yes. Sometimes it happens like that.
I know. And Juliet goes so desperate and sad when she heard the news.
But what should she do? She was really sad that she couldn't focus on that. What will happen?
I know. But you know, sometimes love can actually lead to hopeless situations.
Yeah, that's true.
That's very weird, really. I mean, that love can lead to such immense problems. Shouldn't just love be a super good feeling? I mean, the best sensation a human being could have.
Yeah. Yeah, Christian. Love can lead to disasters.
Yes.
Oh, let us say you fall in love with your teacher.
My teacher?
Yeah. And your teacher falls in love with you.
Yeah?
Yeah. This is rather disastrous. In Europe nowadays.
Why?
Yeah, people think about such a relation as a asymmetric love relation.
Asymmetric?
Yes, an asymmetric love relation.
Asymmetric?
Asymmetric.
Yeah, but what is asymmetric?
Okay, then you have symmetry.
Yeah?
Yeah, and then you have asymmetry.
Yeah?
Symmetry,
Yeah?
asymmetry.
Oh, yeah, got it, yeah.
So that the man or the boss or the teacher is abusing you, is using this power in order to seduce you, and thereby it leads to a catastrophe for both of you, by the way.
Hey, wait, why can't a teacher be together with a student?
Yeah, the perception of society is that the difference of age and experience between a teacher and a student is a huge problem.
But the French president, Emmanuel Macron, yeah, he married his teacher. She was 24 years older than him.
24 years old?
Yeah, he was 17.
Oh, 17.
She was 41
41?
when they met. Yeah, they seem to have a very good relationship together.
Yeah, they seem to be enjoying themselves.
Yeah. So what's the problem then, Piotr?
It's not me saying it is a problem, Christian.
But
the teacher that has a relationship with a boy or a girl in his class would probably lose their job, especially if the teacher is a man, of course.
is it a criminal offense for a teacher to fall in love with his or her student? Or is it a criminal offense for a student to fall in love with his or her teacher?
No. But people speak a lot about sex and power.
Sex and power?
Yeah, sex and power. No shall not use one's power to seduce someone. This is what they say.
This is bullshit, Piotr.
Bullshit?
Yes, it is bullshit. Of course, everybody, both men and women, uses some kind of power in order to seduce other people. Yeah, all erotic relations are built on power. You either get the power over someone if you're young, or handsome, charming, or popular, or if you're a good football player, or good at baking apple pie.
Oh, I love people who are good at baking apple pies.
Or if you've got big tits.
I don't like big tits.
Blonde hair.
Yeah, I love blonde hair.
Or whatever it could be.
Yeah.
And if you're old and fat, you have to compensate a little. With money, maybe. Charm. Intelligence. Yeah, if you're young and pretty, you don't need much more.
Christian? Can we come back to Romeo and Juliet, or would you like to continue your lecture about sex and power?
Of course we can continue.
Yeah.
If everybody thought I was clear enough about what I meant.
I'm not quite sure if I understood completely
Good.
what you had to say, but I would please you to come back to Romeo and Juliet. But this is a Shakespeare festival.
No, Piotr, today we are so concerned about power as a patriarchal instrument of oppression. Patriarchal instrument of oppression.
But can you explain it with simple words that I will understand it?
The big and nasty male boss who exploits his female employees.
I got it.
Yeah. But power as such is not wrong.
No.
It is a fact. And in all intimate relations, there are different kinds of interests.
Yeah.
And then a power game occurs when the two parties must negotiate their interests with the use of power. And we've all got some kind of power.
Do we?
We had power already as we were sitting in the sandpit in the kindergarten.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, some kids were might very grumpy. Some kids were might very strong.
Tomek always pushed me.
Some kids maybe had a daddy who was a police.
Władek's father was a policeman.
And some kids...
Were very sweet and charming.
At least we've all got something. That we use as a power tool in order to seduce other people. Also when it comes to our boyfriend and girlfriend. And women have got just as much power as...
Lorenzo, you must help me.
Yeah, good. Now Juliet had come to Lorenzo in the monastery. She was standing there crying in the herbal garden, and Lorenzo had just returned from Mantua.
Lorenzo, you must help me. My parents told me that Romeo get killed.
Good.
Yeah, and then they want me to marry Paris right
Paris,
away.
yes.
What am I going to do? And where is my dearest Romeo? I told my parents that I would prefer to go to the monastery to confess before the marriage. They sent 2 armed guards with me. They are standing outside the door, waiting for me.
Well, there seemed to be several seemingly unsolvable problems at stake, and Lorenzo was thinking so hard that his brain was literally overheating.
Can one see that his brain was overheating?
No, it's just a way of talking, Piotr.
Juliet, look here at this flower.
Lorenzo went on his knees and picked a yellow flower from his herbal garden and gave it carefully to Juliet.
When you eat one poisonous flower, but only one, you will not breathe for a whole night and the whole day. Tomorrow morning, your parents and Paris will believe you are dead. And they will carry you to the Capulet's family burial chamber. Burial chamber, as is the custom. And after 24 hours, you will wake up, possibly with a little headache, and I will be there, waiting for you with an additional monk robe that we can disguise you in. Then I will take you with me to Mantua disguised as a monk. And there your dear Romeo is waiting for you.
Juliet was looking at Lorenzo. All this seemed to be absolutely fantabulous.
Yeah.
A poisonous flower.
A poisonous flower.
Stop breathing.
Stop breathing.
Romeo in the monastery in Mantua.
Romeo.
But she didn't have any choice really than believing Lorenzo. After all, he was a monk, with responsibility for the monastery's herbal garden.
After all, he was a monk with a responsibility for the herbal garden.
But as Lorenzo turned his back in order to go back into the monastery, Juliet bent down and picked an extra handful of yellow flowers and put in her pocket.
I picked an extra handful of yellow flowers and put them in my pocket.
Just in case.
Just in case.
That was Juliet's parents who were standing by Juliet's bed the next morning, shaking the lifeless body. That was Paris, who got the news that his fiancée was dead. And that was Benvolio.
I'm not finished. Now.
And that was Benvolio, Romeo's friend. He sees the Capulet family's burial procession with a seemingly dead Juliet being carried on a bed of red roses through Verona streets. Yeah, and the day before, Romeo told him that he had married Juliet.
Oh.
Yeah, this seemed a bit strange and incomprehensible. But in all cases, Benvolio thought it must be terrible for his best friend that his fiancée is dead. So he rides off to Mantua as quickly as he can to tell Romeo what he has seen.
Yeah, Christina. Sometimes life is controlled by coincidences.
Coincidences?
Ah.
Coincidences.
Coincidences can even lead to catastrophes, as we will see in this case with Benvolio.
Who just by chance just leaves a bakery.
Bakery?
With a warm croissant in his hand.
Croissant.
Croissant?
Croissant. Apple pie.
Who just by chance leaves the bakery with a warm apple pie in his hand exactly at the same moment as the burial procession with a seemingly dead Juliet passes the bakery.
Yeah?
This touches on a philosophical issue, Piotr.
Does it?
Does everything in life happen by coincidences? Or can we control the courses of our lives?
Christian is going to have a new lecture.
A girl, Isabella. Isabella is on a Tuesday afternoon going to take the bus home from school, but on the way to the bus stop, she sees a lady struggling with getting a stroller with a baby up a staircase. Isabella gives her a hand, but this takes some time because the stroller is very heavy and the staircase is very long, so Isabella misses her bus.
So she has to wait for the next bus. That was extremely interesting.
I know, Piotr, and the next bus is almost full, so Isabella sits down on the only free seat on board next to the young man Akachukwu. Akachukwu.
Where does he come from with this strange name? From Africa?
Right, Piotr, he is from Africa, Nigeria.
Oh.
Actually, Akachukwu from Nigeria, he doesn't know this part of the city, and his mobile phone is out of battery.
Yeah?
And he asks Isabella the way to an address, which is, in fact, is in the same area as Isabella lives.
How convenient!
I know! Isabella suggests that they can walk together.
Oh.
And they start to talk to each other.
Oh, how lovely.
And
They fall in love?
Yes, of course they fall in love. And then, after a totally random meeting on a random bus,
Yeah.
they start to see each other as often as they can.
Oh.
In secret. Actually, a whole year passes before Isabella's very conservative parents discover that she is together with Akachukwu.
Who is a black man from Africa? Yes, now I see you are constructing a minor disaster, Christian.
There is no such as a minor disaster when you're 17, Piotr. At least for Isabella, it was an enormous catastrophe that her parents refused her to be together with Akachukwu, and they sent her by force to her grandparents' farm on the country to work. Isabella hasn't returned. She's still there. Isabella was dreaming about studying medicine. She was dreaming about becoming a doctor. She was dreaming about marrying Akachukwu. Impossible love. Here. By us. Today.
Christian, what is your point?
Coincidences, Piotr. Hadn't this random lady struggled with getting the stroller up the staircase exactly at the same moment as Isabella was passing on the way to the bus? She would never have taken that specific bus. She would never have met Akachukwu. I mean, most probably she would have been studying medicine right this moment in order to become a surgeon. And instead, she is feeding pigs and growing potatoes, listening to her grandmother singing Christian folk songs.
The question is probably a little embarrassing, but What does this story have to do with the story of Romeo and Juliet?
Benvolio is the lady with the straw in our story, Piotr.
Benvolio didn't have any story.
No, hadn't Benvolio by an accident come out from that bakery with a warm apple pie in his hand, exactly at the same moment as the burial procession passed the bakery, he would never have seen it. He would never have thought that Juliet was dead.
And he would never write to Mantua to tell his friend that his girlfriend was dead.
Yes! You know what? Then we would never have had a famous tragedy in the world literature called Romeo and Juliet.
Wouldn't we?
No! I mean, the two of them would have acted according to Lorenzo's plan. But Juliet would have woken up in the chamber with Lorenzo sitting beside her. He would have helped Juliet to run off to Mantua, disguised as a monk, of course. And then she would have been reunited with Romeo there. And then the monks in Mantua would have helped the two of them to get off to another city, far away from Verona.
And they will live happily ever after.
Yeah,
Oh.
most likely. You know, the fact that our lives are controlled by coincidences, it's either a liberating thought or a terrible thought. It depends on your attitude.
Romeo, I have a terrible news for you.
Benvolio was out of breath. He had been riding as quickly as he could to Mantua. Yeah.
Romeo,
Yeah.
Your
My what? My what? Breathe. My what? My what?
Your dear
what?
Juliet.
What about Juliet?
She's dead. I saw the funeral procession. They carried her to the family burial chamber.
Burial chamber.
Whatever.
No!
Yes, as we understood, it was Romeo's.
You must accompany me to the burial chamber, Benvolio. I want to see my dear love. And die. That's the last favour I ask from you, my dear friend.
The two men jump on their horses and ride as quickly they can to Verona.
The distance between Verona and Mantua is about 50 kilometers.
Is it?
Yeah. So if the horses were galloping all the way, the trip took approximately 1 hour and 20 minutes.
They just arrived at the family burial chamber.
Please guard the entrance to the chamber, Benvolio. And goodbye, my dear friend. I will enter and unite with my dear love in death.
Benvolio watches with tears in his eyes how his friend enters the chapel and disappears down into the burial chamber. Romeo, what are you doing here? In the burial chamber of Julie Capulet?
Paris?
Paris.
Oh, whatever. What are you doing here?
I mourn my dear Julie. We should have married today.
What? No, Juliet is already married. With me.
Julie married to Capulet? To Montague? Nah.
Lorenzo married us in secret in the monastery, Paris.
Paris.
I have come here to die in the arms of my dear love.
I have also come here to die, Romeo. Julie was the love of my life. I see no reason to live anymore. I brought with me a deadly poison.
Paris, we loved her, both of us. Wait, do you have enough poison for two?
I think so.
So let's die together, Paris.
Paris took the bottle from his pocket and the two divided it between them.
Why must love lead to death, Paris? Why is life filled with so many cruel obstacles? Why must a war between two families prevent the happiness of two innocent people?
You are not innocent in this war, Romeo. No one is innocent in the war. Either you are on one of the sides of the war, as Vitu or Julie, or you didn't do anything to prevent the war. Anyone that doesn't do anything to prevent conflicts is guilty in their devastating consequences.
But love, Paris, love between two people. I mean, it should be more important than any conflict. Love doesn't ask what kind of family you belong to, or what kind of religion you believe in. Love transcends everything. It's a total freedom. Freedom from all kinds of wars, conflicts. Love transcends all kinds of stupid norms and rules. Love. Love, Piotr, unfolds in a dialogic space between the lovers. And the lovers recognize each other alternately and encourage thereby each other's positive self-awareness. According to the German philosopher Hegel, it's precisely in this intersubjective recognition that love has got its moral foundation. Love is a positive, anarchistic counterbalance to all kinds of limitations, economizations, functionalizations, everything that characterizes our daily life and work. Love opens the potential for erotic, intimate, solidary connections with all kinds of people. Love transcends wars, norms, religions, rules, and offers an unlimited freedom. Love is always good.
Love is always good.
If a man and a woman fall in love with each other, it's good.
It's good.
If two women fall in love with each other, it's good.
It's good.
If two men fall in love with each other, it's good.
It's good.
If a Christian and a Muslim falls in love with each other, it's good.
It's good.
If an old person falls in love with a young person, it's good.
It's good.
If a black girl falls in love with a white boy, it's good.
It's good.
And if two people from each side of a war fall in love with each other,
it's good. And then Romeo died, holding one hand in the hand of Juliet and the other in the hand of Paris. Paris was also dead. He didn't breathe any longer. And just in this moment when Romeo stopped breathing, Juliet wakes up. Lorenzo? Lorenzo, is it you? Romeo! Romeo, my dear Romeo, no! No! My dear Romeo is dead. Juliet pulls from her pocket the poisonous flowers she took from Lorenzo's garden and put them in her mouth. They taste terribly bitter, and when she swallows, she thought that this is the bitter taste of a world without love.
Romeo and Juliet. The city of Verona had been taken by Venetian troops in 1405 and made part of the Republic of Venice. Its strategic location between several trade routes made Verona important for extensive Venetian commercial activity. The two Verona merchant families, Capulet and Montague, were fighting for the lucrative Venetian trade office. Their fight escalated when Venice offered monopoly on the transportation of silk to France and the Papal States. The two families were involved in killings and abductions in order to win the deal. In this dramatic situation, young Romeo Montague secretly married Juliet Capulet, both 14 years old. 2 days after the wedding, the hostile families found out about the unauthorized liaison, and the young couple committed suicide together. Maxim and Yelena. The Russian Federation has the world's second highest suicide rate. The youth suicide rate is alarmingly high, especially in the rural areas. Some places, like the Gdansk area, have experienced almost epidemic situations, where many young people commit suicide over a short period of time. Internet-based suicide groups, or death groups, have been disclosed, in which young people are manipulated to self-mutilation, scarification, and eventually committing suicide. A mentor of such a group, 20-year-old Philip Parr, stated while being arrested in St. Petersburg that the 15 teenagers he had manipulated to commit suicide were biodegradable waste, worthless to society. Among them were 17-year-old Maxim Karasamov and his girlfriend Yelena Perovska from the village of Peritin. They gassed themselves to death in an old car while holding hands. Arash and Darius. Since the foundation of the Islamic Republic of Iran in 1979 and up until 2018, an estimated 8,000 young men have been executed on charges of homosexuality. Iran is one of 10 countries in the world where homosexuality is punishable by death. This summer, 19-year-old Arash T and his 18-year-old friend Darius A were sentenced to death based on Articles 108 and 110 of Iran's Penal Code for acts against the Sharia law and bad deeds. Neighbors said they had spotted the two young men having sex through a window in Arash's family's house. The two teenagers had no access to a lawyer, and the judiciary rushed through the investigations, prosecution, and sentence within a month. Arash and Darius were hanged in public in Avaz, the capital of Iran's Khuzestan province. Bassam and Asya. During the Syrian civil war, tensions rose between the country's many ethnic and religious groups, and gradually turned the war into a multipolar religious conflict. Relations between young people from different ethnic and religious communities are rare today. The attempted marriage between Sunni Arab Bassam H and his Alawite girlfriend Asiya B shows why. Soldiers from the rebel Ara al-Sham militia attacked the young couple in the little village of Mutsera only because Bassam wanted to marry an Alawite girl. Bassam was shot dead while holding his girlfriend in his arms.
Ja, Julia.
Ich bin Julia. Ja, Julia. Ja, Julia.
Ja, Romeo. Ja, Romeo. Ja, Julia.
Ja, Julia. Ja, Julia.
Julia.
Ja, Julia.
Ja, Romeo.
Romeo.